You didn't stumble here by accident. You've been feeling a weight that no one sees, a quiet exhaustion that even sleep can't touch. And lately, you've been breaking in ways you can't explain. People keep saying, "You'll be okay." But deep down, you're wondering, why does it all feel so heavy, even when nothing's wrong? Let me tell you something that might sound like it was written just for you. If your soul has been aching without words, it's not because you're lost. It's because Allah is whispering something sacred into the silence. And what feels heavy right now might just be Him calling you back, not to punish you, but to awaken you. 1. When the things you once loved now feel spiritually heavy. You used to feel so alive in those moments. Certain people made you smile without even trying. Certain dreams lit a fire in you. Even the routines, the conversations, the places. They used to feel like home. But now, you feel different in the same places. The laughter doesn't reach as deep. The memories feel distant even when they're happening again. And you keep wondering, why does it all feel so heavy now? Why does my heart feel like it's no longer in the room? You try to force the same happiness. You tell yourself to be grateful, to stay present, to enjoy what's in front of you. But deep down, something keeps slipping, like your soul is gently stepping away, without permission, without warning. It's not that you've become ungrateful. It's not that you've changed in a bad way. It's that your heart is shifting. And sometimes the shift is so silent, even you don't recognize it at first. The people who once lit up your world now feel like noise in a room you want to leave. The plans you once couldn't wait for now feel like cages. The goals that once gave you purpose now feel like pressure. This is not depression. This is divine detachment, because when Allah wants to call you back to Him, He doesn't always take something away violently. Sometimes He just makes it feel too heavy to carry. He allows your joy to fade from certain things. So you finally question why you were depending on them to feel whole. He lets comfort feel suffocating. So your soul starts craving something higher than comfort. It's a mercy, not a punishment. You're being protected from spiritual sleep. Because sometimes what we love most in this world is what distracts us most from the one who created our heart in the first place. And the heaviness you feel, that's not failure. That's your soul waking up to the realization that what once fit you no longer carries your spirit. You are outgrowing people, outgrowing versions of yourself, outgrowing dreams that were built on survival, not truth. So don't force yourself back into old joy just because it used to feel right. Let it feel heavy. Let it feel confusing. Let it break if it has to, because sometimes Allah makes the path you loved too difficult to walk, just to show you it was never meant to take you home. And when everything starts to feel too heavy, it might be your soul whispering, "It's time to go where I truly belong." 2. When you start crying without knowing what you're crying for. You're sitting there, doing nothing in particular. No tragedy just happened. No one said anything cruel. And yet, your chest tightens. Your throat closes, and without warning, your eyes begin to fill with tears you can't explain. You try to wipe them away before anyone notices. You try to hold yourself together, but you can't even put into words what's breaking inside of you. It's not about one specific thing. It's everything. It's the weight of all the moments you kept quiet, all the prayers that felt unanswered, all the days you smiled while carrying pain, and all the pieces of yourself you gave away just to feel loved. The tears come like a flood, from a place deeper than thought, from somewhere your words can't reach. but where Allah has always been listening. You tell yourself you're being too emotional, that maybe you're just tired. But the truth is, your soul is releasing what your mind could never process. You're not breaking down, you're being purified, because sometimes when Allah wants to heal you, He doesn't send words, He sends tears, not to embarrass you, not to make you feel weak, but to wash you, to cleanse the parts of you that have been carrying silent grief for far too long. You don't need to explain it. You don't need to understand it. You just need to know. He sees it, that moment, when you're silently crying with no name for your pain, is one of the most sacred conversations you'll ever have with Allah. Your tears are not a breakdown. They are proof that your soul is still alive, still soft, still open to Him. And maybe you didn't know how much you needed to be seen until Allah sent those tears to prove to you that He's still near. Even when you couldn't speak, even when you didn't ask, even when all you could do was feel. So the next time you cry and you don't know why, don't rush to hide it. That may be your soul finally telling the truth, and that may be Allah whispering, I'm still here, I've always been, and I'm still holding you, even when you don't know what to say. Sign 3. When you feel tired, even after rest. You sleep, but you don't wake up refreshed. You rest, but you still feel worn down. You sit in silence, but even that doesn't bring peace. There's a tiredness inside of you that no amount of sleep has touched. You're not just tired in your body, you're tired in your soul, and the world keeps telling you to just take a break, to go outside, distract yourself, get some fresh air. But nothing works, because this isn't about being lazy. It's not about lack of motivation. This is about something deeper, something sacred, something only Allah can reach. You've been carrying too much, too many thoughts, too many expectations, too many memories that still echo in your heart. You've been surviving silently for so long that your soul has grown weary from pretending to be okay. You kept showing up. You kept doing what was expected. You kept being strong, even when no one asked if you were okay. And now, the weight of all that pretending is starting to show, not in your words, but in the way your heart beats slower in certain rooms, in the way your body sinks deeper into the mattress but never finds comfort, in the way you smile, but your eyes still look like they're asking for help. This is the kind of tired that only your Creator understands. The kind of heaviness that isn't visible to others, but is deeply known by the one who created your soul. Because sometimes this level of exhaustion is not a signal to push harder. It's a sacred invitation to return, to stop running, to stop chasing what never gave you peace in the first place, to stop wearing the mask of strength when your soul is begging to fall into sujood and just cry. Maybe this tiredness is how Allah is calling you back. Not through fear, not through pain, but through stillness, through emptiness, through the ache that whispers, there's nothing in this dunya that can refill me anymore. And in that moment, when the world feels loud, but your spirit feels silent, remember this: Allah sees the tiredness behind your eyes. He hears the sighs you release when no one's around. And He's not waiting for you to have energy. He's waiting for you to surrender, to lay it all down, not just your body, but your expectations, your guilt, your timeline, your hidden grief. Because true rest doesn't come from more hours of sleep. It comes from releasing your heart into His care. And maybe that's what this tiredness has been all along. Not a sign of weakness, but a divine signal that it's time to stop carrying everything you were never meant to carry alone. 4. When you begin pulling away from people without wanting to. You don't know when it started, but lately, you've felt yourself pulling away, not in anger, not in bitterness, just quietly, like something in you is slowly dimming the lights and stepping back. You still care, you still wish them well, but your energy doesn't flow the same way it used to. You respond less, you explain less, and when you're in the room, you feel like you're somewhere else entirely. It's not because you stopped loving them, it's because something deeper in you started shifting. You no longer feel safe pouring your heart into conversations that don't feed your soul. You no longer feel strong pretending to enjoy spaces that make your spirit shrink. And the truth is, you've outgrown things you never expected to. Not because you're better than them, but because Allah is moving you into silence, to protect the part of you that He's still rebuilding. You keep wondering, why am I disconnecting from people I never wanted to lose? But what if it's not a loss? What if it's a divine redirection? Sometimes Allah separates you, not to punish you, but to protect what He's awakening inside you, because the version of you He's forming can't be shaped in the presence of every voice, every opinion, every distraction. And you've felt it, the subtle exhaustion that follows certain conversations, the emptiness you carry after being in certain crowds, the way your soul shrinks when you're trying to keep up with the same energy. But your heart just isn't in it anymore. This quiet pulling away isn't rudeness. It's self-preservation. It's Allah whispering, "Come back to me. Let me be the first voice you turn to. Let me remind you who you are without the noise." Because not every silence is a void. Some silences are sacred spaces where Allah starts preparing you for something you were never going to find in those rooms. And yes, it hurts. You miss how things used to be. You miss who you were around them. But deep down, you also know you're becoming someone else, someone quieter, more anchored, more real. So don't fight this distance. Don't force what your soul is trying to release. Let yourself step back without guilt, because sometimes the only way to hear Allah clearly is to stop talking to the world and finally start listening to the silence He's calling you into. 5. When you can't explain the sadness anymore. There was a time when you could trace your sadness. You could point to a memory, a moment, a person. You could say, "This is why I'm hurting." But now it feels like grief without shape, like a heaviness that doesn't come with a reason. You try to explain it, but the words never feel right. You say you're just tired, just stressed, just going through a phase. But deep down, you know it's more than that. You feel something in you slipping, unraveling, but you can't tell anyone what exactly is falling apart. And maybe that's what makes it worse. Not just the sadness, but the loneliness that comes with not knowing how to describe it. It's the kind of ache that lingers in silence, the kind that follows you from room to room, that wraps around your thoughts like fog. It dulls your joy, but you still show up. You still smile. You still do what's expected. Because you don't know how to say, "I'm not okay, but I don't know why." But what if that sadness is sacred? What if the ache you feel is your soul mourning the pieces of you that Allah is gently removing? Sometimes transformation doesn't come with loud moments. It comes with quiet losses, the soft breaking of attachments you didn't even know were holding you back, the emptying of hopes you never realized had replaced your reliance on Him, the melting away of versions of you that were built to survive, not to be whole. You're not falling apart. You're being softened. And in that softening, Allah is preparing you to feel again, to see again, to love him in a way you never have before. And yes, it's confusing. It hurts. Because you're still in the in-between. You're no longer who you used to be, but you're not yet who you're becoming. So this sadness that can't be explained, it's not failure, it's not weakness, it's the space in your heart that Allah is clearing out, so something eternal can finally grow. You don't need to have the words. You don't need to understand every emotion. You just need to know He sees it. He sees the heaviness you carry in silence. He knows the prayers you whisper without sound, and He is closer in your confusion than some are in your clarity. This sadness isn't here to destroy you. It's here to awaken you, to pull you deeper into the one place where you don't need to explain yourself. Just return. So let the tears come. Let the ache be what it is. Because not all sadness needs a reason. Sometimes it's just your soul finally surrendering to the hands that have always been waiting to hold you. 6. When the dua you forgot you made starts rearranging your life. You remember whispering it once, maybe late at night, maybe between tears, maybe when no one saw how tired you were inside. A quiet, broken moment where you said, "Ya Allah, guide me." And then life went on. You forgot about that moment. You moved on with your plans. You started building again, making choices, trusting timelines, trying to hold everything together. And then everything started falling apart. People started leaving. Plans stopped working. Doors you were sure were meant for you slammed shut. It felt like chaos. It felt like failure. It felt like Allah wasn't answering. But what if He was? What if the breaking wasn't silence, but the beginning of the answer? Because sometimes the dua you whispered months ago, the one you don't even remember clearly, is the very reason why your life is being rearranged right now. You asked for direction, so Allah took away the distractions. You asked for clarity, so He removed the people who blurred your vision. You asked for peace, so He shattered what was built on your anxiety. You asked for truth, so He pulled you out of the illusions you were calling home. And it doesn't always feel gentle. Sometimes it feels like loss. Sometimes it feels like confusion. Sometimes it feels like Allah is taking everything away from you. But what He's really doing is giving you back to yourself. Because you were building a version of your life that your soul was never going to survive in. You were attaching your heart to things that were quietly replacing Him. And in His mercy, He didn't let you stay there. The problem is, we often expect answered dua to feel soft. We expect ease, comfort, blessings we recognize, but real answers from Allah sometimes look like storms, like silence, like sudden endings that don't come with explanations. But behind every closed door, behind every delay, behind every unexpected turn, there's a divine memory. The memory of a dua you once whispered with sincerity. Allah never forgets the cries of your heart, even when you do. And the more confused you feel right now, the more likely it is that you're standing in the middle of an answered prayer you no longer recognize. So don't rush to fix it. Don't fight to get back what He removed. Don't beg for the old path. You didn't come this far to return to the place He rescued you from. This isn't your life falling apart. This is your soul being guided, even when your mind doesn't understand. And one day, you'll look back at this very season and it will hit you. That dua, the one you forgot about, was never forgotten by Him. And this was the mercy you asked for, wrapped in a form your heart wasn't ready for. Until now. 7. When you feel like you're losing everything, but gaining clarity. It starts slowly. A friend becomes distant. A plan falls through. An opportunity you prayed for disappears. And at first, you tell yourself it's temporary, that you can fix it, that things will go back to how they were, but they don't. And the more you try to hold on, the more everything slips through your fingers. It feels like loss. It feels like you're being left behind. It feels like life is moving without you. And all you're left with is the sound of what used to be. You say, "Ya Allah, why are you taking everything from me?" But what if he's not? What if he's not taking anything from you at all? What if he's clearing the fog so you can finally see? Because sometimes clarity doesn't come when life is full. It comes when life is stripped down to what actually matters. You didn't lose those people. You discovered their role in your story was complete. You didn't lose those plans. You found out they were distractions disguised as purpose. You didn't lose your place. You were never meant to stay there. You were just too attached to leave on your own. So Allah, in His mercy, started subtracting, not to leave you empty, but to return you to truth. And in the beginning, it hurts, because we were taught that loss is always something to mourn. But sometimes, loss is what frees your heart to finally breathe. You begin to notice it in the silence, the peace that comes when you stop forcing, the clarity that comes when you're not performing, the honesty that shows up when you're no longer distracted by who you're trying to impress. And somewhere in all that loss, you begin to see yourself again. Not the version that was surviving, not the version that was pleasing everyone, not the version that was addicted to being busy, but the version of you that Allah always knew was waiting underneath. This is not the end of your story. This is the peeling away of everything that was never meant to stay. The lies, the pressure, the illusions. And what's left is clarity. Painful, sacred, silent clarity. The kind that doesn't scream. The kind that doesn't need proof. The kind that settles in your bones quietly and makes you realize everything that left was clearing space for everything that's real. You didn't lose. You were never losing. You were being rewritten, refined, realigned. And the clarity you've found now, that peace that doesn't depend on people, is proof that sometimes Allah has to take away everything you wanted, to give you everything you needed. So if you feel like you're losing everything, pause for a moment and look at what's being born inside of you. Because this isn't just loss, this is revelation. Sign 8. When you whisper, "Ya Allah," and break without words. It happens when no one's around, when the world is quiet, but your heart is loud. You sit there, not knowing what to say anymore, not even knowing what you're feeling. Only one word comes out, "Ya Allah." And then nothing. No list, no eloquence, just silence. Just your chest rising and falling like it's trying to hold you together. Just your eyes filling with tears you no longer have the energy to wipe away. You're not complaining, you're not questioning, you're not even asking, you're just breaking, but in a way that feels like surrender, not despair, because deep down your soul knows something your mind can't explain, that even when the tongue is silent, the heart still speaks, that Allah hears the weight of what you can't say, even more clearly than what you can. This is not a moment of weakness. This is not failure. This is a sacred moment, a moment that angels record differently, a moment that the heavens witness, with gentleness, not judgment, because what you just whispered, "Ya Allah," was more powerful than 1,000 perfect du'as. You didn't need to explain. You didn't need to be strong. You didn't need to have it figured out. You just needed to fall. And in that fall, Allah caught you. He caught your silence. He caught your confusion. He caught every ache, every disappointment, every fear you've been folding into yourself and carrying for far too long. And maybe this is what real connection looks like. Not when you're speaking clearly, but when you're breaking honestly. Because the closest moments with Allah often come when we feel furthest from strength, when we don't have the words, when we don't have the plan, when we don't have the energy to do anything but sit and whisper His name and let our tears do the rest. So if all you can say right now is, Ya Allah, say it, even if your voice shakes, even if it comes out as a whisper, even if it's buried beneath your breath. Because that moment, that sacred pause between a broken whisper and a silent tear, might be the exact moment your life begins to shift in the unseen. That one whisper could open a door, heal a wound, redirect your path, not because you said a lot, but because you meant every bit of the little you could say. And sometimes that's all Allah wants. Not a speech, not perfection, just a real trembling voice that says, I have nothing left, Ya Allah, except you. And in that emptiness, He fills you. In that silence, He answers. And in that one word, He writes a new chapter. If it's feeling too heavy, don't rush to escape it. Because this weight, it's not a punishment. It's a passage, a silent invitation from the one who loves you more than the things you're losing, from the one who knows that only through this heaviness will your soul finally stop running and start returning.